Every once in a while, the liturgy of the word for Sundays and weekday masses present no easy, accessible, or understandable message, at least in my opinion. Today, Wednesday of the 10th week in Ordinary Time, happens to be one of those days. At least it is for me. There's no lightning bolt moment or divine revelation that immediately sparked an aha. So I had to really sit and reflectively pray with the reading from 1 Kings and Jesus' words in the Gospel of Matthew. I took it to prayer several days this week, last week, and I'd like to focus on three things: choice, commitment, and collaboration. In other words, co-laboring with God. First, we have a choice. As in life, God's gift of free will enters a surprising majority of how we choose to live our life in the experiences we have in life and in and with our encounters with others. Discerning the good choice, the one that leads to greater life and peace, a choice that will make the fire of love consume our hearts with goodness, is always contrasted in life by choices that lead us to diminishment, despair, and ultimately a life that lays dead on the cold, hard marble altar of life. We stand then with the people listening to Elijah today in the book of Kings. Do you choose the 450 gods of Baal or the one true God? Do we choose the God who answers with a fire as God? Or is our choice to stand with gods whose power is impotent and who answer to no one and listen to no one? Second, we have commitment. Elijah is very clear about this when he challenges us by asking, how long will we straddle the issue? Jesus demands commitment from the disciples, that's us, and from those he's teaching. He advocates for always choosing the greatest, not the least. He, in words that don't mince what he's demanding, asks his listeners, asking us, to choose to be a part of and to commit ourselves to God's fulfillment and the coming to fruition and completion of God's plan. Any other choices will not be the greatest commitment we can make, but the least. And finally, we have the invitation, some would say a call, to collaborate, co-labor, co-create with God. Jesus seems to be egging on his listeners back then, as well as today, to make a stance. This fulfillment is not a passive event. It demands active participation. Jesus isn't mincing words in his talk to his disciples and in his talk with us when he asks, are you a breaker of God's commandments, or are you a keeper and instructor of them? Making God's commandments of love of God, self, and neighbor come to have greater life in yourself, in those we call our neighbors, in the ultimate salvation of this world. In the end, the choice is always ours, but the needed commitment to work for the building of God's plan of salvation requires our collaboration. Will you come and sow the good seed of God's love, water it, help it grow? Or will your action destroy the possibility of divine love coming to have ever greater life? Will you help me, Jesus asks, to fulfill God's plan for your own and the world's growth or groaning to fulfillment? In the end, then, this fulfillment is not a passive event. It demands our active participation. Amen.